And we are back on the Zero Hour. I am Richard RJ Eskow, and joining us now is Adam Green of the PCCC, which stands for, I never get it right.
A lot of C's in there. The Progressive Change Campaign Committee, known by some as boldprogressives.org.
Boldprogressives.org. Adam, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here, and thanks for all your work on all these issues. Social Security being right at the top of the list.
And you guys just had a victory this week on Social Security, I would say. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen in this election, Elizabeth Warren being the North Star that both candidates are walking towards on issues like Wall Street, Social Security, debt-free college. One big unchecked box going into this week was whether Hillary Clinton would ever cut Social Security benefits. She hadn't really addressed it and hadn't been asked the question. So the day after the Iowa caucuses, we went on national TV and challenged her to make clear by New Hampshire, where there's an older voting population, whether she would ever cut benefits. And there were some media stories about it. Her folks initially told the Huffington Post that there were no plans to cut Social Security.
Which is so the wrong answer.
So the wrong answer. We pointed out, George W. Bush had no plans to invade Iraq when he got elected, but that's not a promise.
Right.
Bernie Sanders, to his credit, integrated it into his stump speech and tweeted out asking her to clarify her position. And by Friday evening, she said for the first time ever, I won't cut Social Security. I'll defend it and expand it. And now we have that as the foundation. And now the spectrum of debate in the Democratic Party is how much to expand benefits.
Now that was a win
from where we were just a few years ago.
A win for progressives, a win for you guys, and all the other groups doing great work in this issue.
Yep.
One thing I would disagree with, though, I would say Bernie's been there for a long time on this issue, expanding Social Security, not cutting. Yeah, because you were saying both candidates were walking towards it. But I'm glad you got her there, and I think that's great because it means there is no Democrat in the race now who is not on record as expanding Social Security.
Right, and when I say walking towards the Elizabeth Warren North Star, what I mean by that is, we don't really have a battle for the soul of the Democratic Party happening on the debate stage. There's no third way DLC corporate Democrat versus Bernie Sanders. It's not, instead, we've eliminated some of the contested space, right? Mm-hmm. With this commitment, it is not cool in the Democratic Party to say you're going to cut benefits because you're directly opposing whoever the Democratic nominee will be, right? The third ways of the world are sidelined.
Right, and the third way, remind our listeners, being the Wall Street-funded think tank that has advocated cutting Social Security. And by the way, did you notice they kind of melted down this week? They got a little upset. We invited them on the program to talk about it, and they wouldn't come on. But.
Yeah, no, they are yelping from the sidelines at this point, and it's nice to see, honestly. But the same with debt-free college. We have the spectrum of debate is should we have $350 billion for debt-free college or $700 billion for free tuition? What a great spectrum of debate when just 8 years ago, Hillary Clinton's a student debt proposal was an $8 billion proposal, right? We have just monumentally moved the debate. And the same with Wall Street. I mean, who would have guessed 4 years ago, 8 years ago, that we would have all the Democratic candidates, two in this case, talking about jailing Wall Street bankers who broke the law, acknowledging the idea of too big to fail, acknowledging the idea of breaking up the too big to fail banks. We need to, figure out precisely how fast we'll move and how quickly, how big we'll go with this stuff. But it is no longer a rogue concept to be talking about breaking up the big banks. It's right in the center of the debate.
It would be
and progressives did that.
Rogue concept not to do it.
Yeah.
So what issue are you guys going to tackle next?
Good question, RJ. Especially with all the controversy around Clinton's Goldman Sachs speeches this week, we feel like the transcripts question, should she release the transcripts, is honestly just kind of a sideshow. It might be interesting, but the root question that voters have a right to have is, who will she surround herself with, and who will Bernie surround himself with? Will a politician hold accountable those that they are close to? And therefore, we're moving in the direction of asking candidates for clarity for a short list of who will you appoint as Treasury Secretary.
Right.
Are there people on the list who will hold Wall Street accountable? What about Attorney General? Is it somebody who actually has a record of being willing to prosecute powerful corporate actors? What about the SEC chair? Is it somebody who will actually take big banks to trial? It would be very illuminating if candidates stated their position on that, and if both candidates were nominating people like Joseph Stiglitz and Robert Reich and Christina Romer, even a Republican like Sheila Bair, who's known as a sheriff of Wall Street. That would, again, be a huge victory for progressives and a huge sidelining of the third way corporate Democrats.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Good strategy. Adam Green, PCCC, boldprogressives.org. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for all you're doing, RJ. Take care.
You too. And we will be right back after this. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.